The power of silence. When betrayal or abandonment strikes, our first instinct is often a flood of raw emotion. Anger erupts, pleas spill out, or we scramble to explain ourselves, desperate to hold on. But pause for a moment, truly pause, and ask yourself, what does this really gain you? Every word of blame, every tear shed, every whispered plea only strips you bare, leaving you fragile, predictable, and handing all your power to the one who wounded you. There is, however, a force greater than any word or deed, a weapon of unshakable might: silence. Silence is not the hollow void or timid surrender so many mistake it for. No, it is a quiet, towering strength, a declaration that needs no voice. When you choose silence in the face of betrayal, you don't just preserve your dignity, you cast the betrayer into a storm of unease. They expect your explosion, your anguish, your chase, because that's how they gauge their worth in your world. But when you deny them that eruption, when you meet their chaos with an icy void, you plant a seed of doubt deep within them. Why isn't he reacting? Does he even care? Do I truly matter? These questions become their prison, locking them in the cage of their own mind. Picture this: someone who walked away from you, certain you'd crumble and pursue them, suddenly faces a stark reversal. No messages, no calls, not a flicker of desperation. Your silence doesn't just reclaim your psychological power, it forces them to confront their deepest fear: being forgotten. That's when the game flips. They once thought they held you in their grip, but now it's your absence, your stillness, that unravels their control. Make no mistake, silence isn't avoidance or resignation. It's the choice of the strong, the mark of one who knows their worth. When you stand in silence, you owe no one an explanation. You rise unshaken, letting them feel the full weight of their own actions. So, the next time betrayal comes knocking, dare to choose silence. You'll discover it's not just a weapon, it's armor for your soul, forging you into someone untouchable, unbreakable, invincible. Emotional control, the key to a man's power. In life, especially when confronted with trials like betrayal, heartbreak, or deep wounds, emotions often become a man's greatest adversary. When you let anger erupt, allow sorrow to drown you, or permit despair to steer your course, you unwittingly bare your vulnerabilities to the world. Rage turns you into a predictable beast, fierce yet transparent. Pleading reduces you to a shadow of dependence. Over-explaining only proves you've lost your grip. In those moments, you hand your power to another, giving them the exact map to manipulate you. But master the art of emotional control, and you reclaim it all, not just your self-command, but your very standing as a man. A man must never let his emotions rule him, for every outburst turns him into an open book. When you shout, beg, or argue, you broadcast to the world, and especially to the one who hurt you, that their influence over you still burns bright. This doesn't just weaken you in their eyes. It inflates their sense of triumph, their belief that they hold the upper hand. Now, imagine the opposite. You don't react. Not a single word of blame escapes your lips. Not a flicker of desperation crosses your face. You stand there, calm, unshaken, revealing no crack in your armor. That silence, that mastery, doesn't just shield you. It throws the other into a spiral of uncertainty. When you stop reacting, the balance of power shifts. The one who thought they knew you, who believed they could predict your every move, is suddenly left questioning, why isn't he breaking? Does he no longer care? Was I ever truly the center of his world? That self-doubt becomes a burden they heap upon their own shoulders, and you need do nothing more to make them feel its crushing weight. You don't have to prove a thing, don't have to fight a battle. Simply by reining in your emotions, you strip them of their illusion of control. Emotional control isn't weakness, it's supremacy. It's the quiet, unyielding strength that turns the tables, leaving you not just intact, but invincible. Emotional control, the art of mastery, not suppression. Emotional control isn't about stifling your feelings or feigning indifference. It's the art of ruling yourself, a power that lets you choose when to act and when to hold still. A man who masters this doesn't just become unpredictable, he radiates confidence and commands respect. So train yourself to break free from emotions as chains that bind you and wield them instead as tools to assert your worth. When you conquer them, you don't just reclaim your power, you rise as a man no one dares underestimate. The law of reverse psychology, the magnetism of indifference. Human nature bows to a simple yet paradoxical truth. We crave what eludes us and dismiss what comes too easily. Nowhere is this clearer than in relationships. When you cling in desperation, chasing, pleading, or grasping to hold someone close, you unknowingly push them further away. That desperation doesn't just diminish your value in their eyes, it smothers them, draining their interest. But flip the script. Choose indifference, stop the pursuit, and something extraordinary unfolds. They're drawn back to you like moths to a flame. Imagine this. Someone walks away from you, certain you'll shatter, convinced you'll do anything to pull them back. They brace for the flood of messages, the torrent of pleas, the explosion of your emotions. But what if you give them nothing? What if you step back and let the silence stretch wide? Their mind unravels. Why hasn't he reached out? Doesn't he care anymore? Am I no longer significant? Your indifference doesn't just catch them off guard. It ignites their curiosity, even their longing. Suddenly, they ache to reclaim the attention they once spurned. This is the law of reverse psychology. The harder you grip, the more you lose. The more you let go, the stronger your pull. When you stop chasing, you force them to confront the possibility that they're no longer the center of your universe. That void you leave behind exerts an invisible pressure, compelling them to return, seeking validation they didn't know they needed. It's not magic. It's human nature. We're wired to chase what's just out of reach. So the next time you're tempted to run after someone, pause. Indifference isn't coldness. It's confidence, a bold declaration of your worth. When you stop pursuing, you don't just seize back control, you transform into the one they can't stop thinking about. Let them yearn for you by doing nothing at all. Rebirth from pain, turning brokenness into strength. Pain is an inescapable thread woven into the fabric of life. When betrayal cuts deep, when abandonment leaves you hollow, or when something precious slips through your fingers, most of us teeter on the edge of despair. Men, too often, let pain swallow them whole. They stop eating, neglect themselves, sit in the dark staring at a phone that refuses to light up with the message they crave. They drown in regret, replaying what went wrong, letting loss anchor their minds in shadows. But look closer. Pain isn't your enemy, it's fuel. Instead of letting it destroy you, harness it to rise anew, to forge a version of yourself so powerful it needs no validation from anyone. Think back to the darkest moments of your life. When your heart shattered, when trust was betrayed, those weren't just endings, they were invitations to begin again. Pain is a fire, and you hold the power to decide how it burns. Don't run from it or numb it with fleeting distractions. Face it head on. Those sleepless nights? Let them sharpen your will. That simmering anger in your chest? Channel it into the weights you lift at the gym. The emptiness gnawing at your soul. Fill it with discipline and new purpose. Every second you waste lamenting is a second stolen from the man you were meant to become. Most men, when wounded, chase revenge. They yearn for the one who hurt them, to witness their success, to prove that abandoning them was a mistake. But that's still weakness wearing a mask. It's still tethered to someone else. True strength doesn't strut or seek regret from others. It proves itself to you alone. You don't need their approval, their apologies, or anything beyond your own focus and resolve. When you rise from the ashes, when you turn pain into the bedrock of your growth, you become a man untouchable, unbreakable, invincible. Embrace the fire. Let it refine you. From the wreckage of what was, build what will be. A force no one can reckon with, least of all yourself. She might hope you'll crumble, wish you'd collapse to prove you can't live without her. But when you take that pain and turn it into fuel, when you silently forge your body, mind, and soul, you shatter every expectation she held. You don't just survive, you rise, stronger than ever before. One day, when she looks back, she won't even recognize you. Not because you changed to make her regret, but because you've become a man who lives for himself alone. This is the gift of brokenness. It forces you to rebuild from scratch, but this time on a foundation so unshakable that no one can touch it. Rebirth from pain isn't an easy path, but it's the only road to true strength. Embrace it, wield it, and become the man who no longer needs anyone to affirm his worth. The real victory lies in standing tall, whether they leave or stay. The allure of letting go, the magnetism of self-mastery. In life, especially in relationships, we often clinging to others, to their validation, to the expectations of how they should treat us. Yet here's the paradox. The tighter we hold, the more our allure slips away. A man who refuses to cling, who doesn't crave approval, carries a natural magnetism nothing can rival. Letting go isn't coldness or apathy. It's the embodiment of profound confidence and self-control, two qualities that make him irresistibly captivating. Picture a man no longer haunted by what others think of him. He doesn't chase, doesn't beg for attention, doesn't scramble to prove his worth through desperate words or deeds. When you let go, you send a thunderous message: I am whole within myself. That independence doesn't just set you apart, it pulls others in. Why? Because humans are drawn to what they can't easily claim. When you stop clinging, you become an enigma, a challenge, sparking curiosity and a yearning to draw closer to you. Letting go doesn't mean you abandon emotion or grow distant. It's the realization that clinging is weakness, while inner freedom is strength. When you stop fixating on what others do, who they're with, or whether they regret leaving you, You break free from the invisible chains of dependence. The moment you step back, releasing the need to control or hold on, everything shifts. The one who once took you for granted begins to wonder, why doesn't he need me anymore? What makes him so calm, so unshaken? It's that effortless indifference that turns their gaze back towards you. Look at the most powerful men in history. They never groveled for approval. They stood firm in their own worth, and because of that, others were irresistibly drawn to them. True letting go is quiet, composed, and needs no fanfare. You don't need to post pictures to prove you're fine, don't need to overact to make a point. When you genuinely stop caring, that confidence radiates from every step, every glance. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop seeking attention is precisely when it floods towards you. That's the allure of letting go. A self-mastered man doesn't just conquer his own heart. He commands the world to take notice. The cold effect. Stoic strength in indifference. Stoicism teaches us that real power doesn't lie in controlling others, but in mastering ourselves. When you face an ex, the one who once wounded you, your reaction decides who truly holds the reins. Most men falter here. They avert their eyes in fear or plaster on a fake smile to prove something. Both are cracks of weakness, revealing emotions still pulling their strings. But a man rooted in Stoic wisdom walks a different path. Cool, detached, refusing to overreact. And it's this very stance that unleashes a profound impact. Indifference isn't avoidance or spite. It's absolute self-mastery. When you cross paths with an ex, there's no need to dodge or pursue. You simply exist, calm, unshaken, refusing to let old emotions flare. If they speak, you respond, but without warmth or bitterness, only a clear-eyed coolness. For the Stoic, this stems from wisdom. You can't rewrite the past, but you can command the present. That demeanor broadcasts a piercing truth. You no longer hold sway over me. The cold effect strips them of their sense of control. They want you to still ache or cling because that confirms they're still significant. But when you deny them the reaction they crave, confusion takes root. Why doesn't he care? Don't I matter anymore? That self-doubt shrinks them, not because you aim to diminish them, but because you've transcended them. This is the Stoic lesson. Release what's beyond your grasp, anchor yourself within, and let natural indifference show them they're no longer the center of your universe. They always come back, but you must hold fast to self-control. Life has a strange law. Those who once walked away, who undervalued you, often return. Not right away. Maybe weeks, months, or even years later, when they see you've transformed, when you've soared beyond them and stopped caring. It might be a sudden message, a chance encounter, or just their quiet gaze from afar. But don't rejoice too soon. This isn't your victory, it's your final test. What matters isn't their return, but that you don't let them effortlessly reclaim a place in your life. Why do they come back? Not because they've suddenly realized your worth, but because of curiosity and unease. When you stop chasing, when you rebuild yourself, stronger, more confident, more accomplished, they start to wonder, what did I let slip away? How is he thriving without me? Your silence and growth become a silent siren, urging them to probe whether they still hold power over you. This is where so many men stumble. They get excited, reply too eagerly, open up too fast, and in an instant, all the strength they've built crumbles to dust. A wise man knows the past is just that, past. When they return, you don't need to be icy or hostile, but neither can you let them waltz back into your life as if nothing happened. Maintain your distance, hold fast to your self-control. Respond if you must, but with calm detachment, no excitement, no grasping. This doesn't just shield you from being hurt again, it declares that you've moved beyond, that they're no longer the axis of your world. Their return isn't a gift of victory, it's a test of your resolve. If you let them reclaim their old significance too easily, everything you've built will slip through your fingers. But if you stand firm, if you show that your life now belongs to you alone, you not only preserve your strength, you become untouchable. They may come back, but you decide who's worthy of staying. Let your growth be the final word, not for them, but for yourself. Conclusion: mastering yourself. Through Stoicism, silence is a formidable weapon against betrayal, flipping the script of psychological power without a single word. Emotional control transforms you from a fragile, predictable soul into a master of yourself, leaving others to question their own footing. The law of reverse psychology proves that indifference draws people in, while desperation repels. When you stop chasing, they begin to crave your attention. Rebirth from pain teaches you to harness loss as fuel, forging a stronger version of yourself that needs no one's validation. The allure of letting go lies in the quiet confidence and independence that make you magnetic without effort. The cold effect, your detached demeanor when facing an ex, unravels their sense of control, revealing they're no longer special. And finally, they always return when they see you thriving and indifferent, but you must stand resolute, refusing to let them reclaim their place in your life with ease. All these lessons orbit a single truth: self-mastery is the key to conquering every challenge. Your worth isn't defined by someone outside you. It's shaped by you alone, through silence, discipline, and growth. This is the Stoic path, where adversity becomes strength, and you craft a life that's untouchable. Join us to uncover more profound insights on self-control and personal growth. Subscribe to Stoic Pathways today for inspiring content that empowers you to master your emotions, rise above pain, and become the best version of yourself. Hit that subscribe button and step onto the Stoic journey with us.